Welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so I appreciate everybody coming by, stopping by, taking a look at my video. As you guys know, we are in the knockout portion of the Magnus Carlsen Invitational. It is the semifinals. I think that's what it's called. Anyway, we have 4 players left. So we have Anish Giri playing Wesley. So they just got done with their first match, and then they will be playing a second match tomorrow. If I have anybody that is brand new to my channel, Maligayong Pak Dading Sa a King channel. I think I might have said that right. It's gonna take me some more work. But all of my people from the Philippines, Magandang Hapon, Maraming Salamat po sa nanonood. I think I'm messing that up. Yeah, I think I'm messing. Hold on a second. So I got. Yeah, Maraming Salamat po sa nanonood ing a King Maga channel. My video? Okay. It's gonna take me a lot longer to get that. Sorry guys. Anyway, if I have anybody coming from the Netherlands, I will say hello to you. Thank you for coming by and taking a look at my video. I appreciate it very much. Still got some more things I'm working on, hooking up, things like that. So if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and take a look, see what we have for the game. All right, so we got E4, we got E5, knight to F3, knight to C6. Probably about 80% of the games that go E4, E5 are gonna go into this form. Of course, we have a bunch of different options at this point. We have the standard Lopez. We have like I'm not sure what this is called exactly. This might be like the 4 knights situation. Never played it myself. Of course, we got the Scotches. We got the Juco pianos, Italian games, stuff like that. But we do have bishop to B5 in this game. So we have the Roy Lopez. We have knight to F6. So we have the Berlin defense. And then we protect it with D3. Of course, as you guys know, it's possible just to castle here because you're not worried about losing the pawn because you're going to have D4. And, knight's going to back up and, all this fun stuff. We see D3, just, making sure that we don't have any issues. We got bishop to C5, bishop takes C6, pawn takes C6, and then we have castles by white. So we got knight back to D7, possibly alluding to, a possible F5 pawn push, which could, maybe like do some slight damage to white structure, but not really. We see C3, we're preparing D4, so we have castles by black. We have D4, like I was saying before. So we have bishop to D6. We got bishop to G5. We have F6. And so this is actually kind of causing a little bit of a problem for black because now the knight can't just come back to F6. It kind of wastes a little bit of a tempo for them. So we have bishop back to H4. We got queen to E7. Knight B to D2. So as you can see, white is maybe slightly ahead of black. Black still has kind of an issue with their bishop here. What they're going to do with it. Maybe at some point it might would have been cool to have, went bishop G4, maybe before knight to D7, like that. Maybe just might have been something. But anyways, we see queen to F7. We got bishop down to G3. We see rook to E8, queen to C2. And like I was telling you guys before, when you're playing E4, because the queen, like nothing is immediately protecting the pawn. A lot of the times, a lot of the focus centers around like protecting and maintaining this pawn. So you see we have the knight fixed on it. We got the queen on the side fixed on it. You want to probably stay away from queen to E2, queen to E1 type situations because, once things open up, there can be a lot of pressure on the white position. You don't really want your queen kind of, directly protecting something, opposite a rook. So it's kind of better just to kind of swing the rooks over at some point. So we see A5. Basically, black is saying he doesn't want any knight to B3s because it's just going to kick the knight back to where it came from. So it's just kind of like a way for like black to try to restrict the movement of the knights. And so that's something that you want to focus on too when you're playing your games and stuff like that. Like, if your opponent has knights, you want to try to think where can his knights go. And you definitely don't want the knight, to kind of plop into a really juicy square or what we like to call outpost. We don't want that. We don't want that occurring. So like I said, we see A5. We got B3. Pawn takes D4. Pawn takes D4. And as you can see, white does have that really nice pawn center here, though. So they're doing a little bit better structurally than black is. It's not like it's completely winning, but it's white is actually doing pretty good here. So the bishop takes g3, pawn takes g3. You know, black is trying to give, you know, black a little bit of structural damage because they have their own, you know, as far as the c pawns go. So we see knight to b6. We got a4. And so we see bishop to g4, rook f to e1. We got h6, rook to e3. We have rook to e7. We have rook a to e1, rook a to e8. Okay, so you know this is, like I said, it's pretty solid for white. You know, black is doing well too, so it's not like black is losing at all. But like I said, everything is pretty much focused on, you know, maintaining this pawn on e4. You know, we have both of these rooks behind, like I was saying before. We have this knight. You know, we have the queen hooked up on there, so this is a very, very overprotected piece at this point. So we see queen to c3. Something that the engine actually said was a little bit stronger, considerably stronger. And I'm honestly not sure why. This is kind of one of those situations where the computer's like, hey, man, this is great. And you're like, what? Like, why is it great? Like, I mean, you know, got a little bit of chess knowledge, but I'm just sitting there like, man, I don't understand what the difference is, man. Queen to c3 is played in the game, but the computer really, really loved queen to c5. And like I said, I mean, just at face value, I don't really know what the difference is. I mean, you're just basically attacking this pawn on the side. So like I said, to be honest with you guys, I'm not really sure what the difference is. Maybe it's just a little bit better placement of the queen because you are kind of like, you know, influencing this whole, you know, you're kind of laterally attacking and defending this rank. That might be a difference. Maybe you kind of have some e5 stuff come in, but you could have that at c3. So like I said, I'm not really sure what the big difference is between the two moves. I don't know. Anyway, just to kind of give you like a line that the computer gave, you know, you see rook to a8 defending the pawn. You got knight to h2. You got h5, queen back to c2. You got rook e to e8. You have f3, bishop back to e6, and you have f4. And this is actually something really similar to what we saw in the game already. So like I said, I don't really know what the major difference is between the two. But if we do go back to the position that we had in the game, we had queen to c3. We had queen to h5, knight comes back to h2, we have bishop to e6, and then we have f4. And like I said, I mean, you can see that the position is fairly equal, but for some reason, it's given like an entire extra pawns of advantage. So, you know, I'm kind of just as lost as you guys might be. It would pretty much, I mean, if Stockfish could explain itself, like, you know, this will basically give you some, you know, some good knowledge on what's going on. You know, because you would have just traded queens pretty much, I think. So that's pretty much for the computer to know and for us mere mortals not to know. So we see f5 by black. We got queen taking a5. We got bishop back to f7. We got g4 by white. Pawn takes g4. And we see queen back to c3. And we have queen to h4. Now, it's at this point that white actually has a really, really good move that they can play. But for some reason, they don't. And they kind of allow a push. As you guys know, from what I was talking about before, you know, when you have a pawn in the position that can't really, you know, too much get guarded, a lot of times you want to get rid of it, you know, and, you know, you want to cause some problems, maybe like deflect some pieces around. So after queen to f1, we see knight d to f1. And like I said, I mean, there really wasn't a threat on this knight here. So, I mean, I think that white is just like, hey, let me just make sure I protect against, you know, the pawn push on g3. And which is what happens in the game. You have g3, and then you have knight takes g3, but then you have queen takes f4. And as you can see, you know, this pawn structure is not looking the best. It's starting to get kind of chipped away. If we did go to what was a little bit better, g3 in the game, you know, you would see queen to h5, then you would see knight h to f1, queen would come to g6, and then you see rook to e2. And as you can see, this is much better because the pawn coming up here, it does protect this pawn. So now you still have this really, really nice pawn center. So that was just a little bit more accurate of a way to go about it. And like I said, I mean, you know, you got queen takes f4, you got knight to f5, and then you have rook takes e4. And as you can see, like, you know, your structure is really, really, really getting damaged. So this is not the best. This is not the best position to be in now as white. You know, your knight's kind of hanging at the moment. So we see rook takes e4. And we have rook takes e4, and then we have rook to f1, and then we see queen to g5. This is kind of a crucial point in the game. If you guys want to go ahead and stop the video and actually see what Anish Giri plays in this position, go ahead and do so real quick. Okay, cool. So for those of you that didn't see the game live, I actually saw this move when I was analyzing the game, and I was just kind of thinking I mean, there's just nothing to the move. There's just no threat at all. So I wanted to go and see if it was maybe Anish Giri was having time trouble or something, what the situation was, why he made this move. But the move in the game was knight takes h6, and then we saw G takes h6, and it's actually in this position that Anish Giri does resign. Like I said, the only thing I can really think of that he calculated in the position that maybe he miscalculated, kind of saw something that wasn't there, was that after rook takes f7, you saw king takes f7, and then you saw queen to f3 with check. But I think maybe he didn't visualize it correctly in his mind, and he forgot that basically the queen is still holding down this diagonal, and then you can just block with the rook. So I think that's just something he missed. That's the only thing I can really think of. Other than that, I mean, maybe you could be doing this here, but that's just, you're just covering right there. So, I don't really know, what kind of what he had going on. I mean, this is even still nothing's getting dropped. So I don't, like I said, I don't really know exactly what he had going on with that. But it was just a game ending blunder. And I think right when he did it, he kind of realized what he had did, and he was like, ah, man, okay. So anyway, that is the game, guys. I'll say thank you. Appreciate you guys stopping by. Mariming Salama Poa King Maga Kaibagan. Ingat Lagi Mabu hi to you guys. And I will see you guys next time. I appreciate it.